2018's Tomb Raider is an action-packed thrill ride of a film and can easily be described as the single best video game movie ever. Alicia Vikander is stunning, fierce, and a straight-up badass as she brings a brand new attitude to the Tomb Raider franchise and the legendary role of Lara Croft. But with the ending of the new Tomb Raider film, viewers may be left with questions afterwards like, does this mean more Alicia Vikander-starred Tomb Raider films in the future? Just who exactly is Anna Miller in the film? And who exactly is Trinity and what does their organization want? And just so everyone knows, this video does contain major spoilers to Tomb Raider, so you have been warned. So this newest reboot to the Tomb Raider film franchise serves as the origin story for our protagonist Lara Croft, and is based off the very successful 2013 video game of the same name, with some elements of that game's 2015 sequel. So before the guns, before the years of experience raiding tombs, and before the huge piles of video game money needed to fund a project like this. But back to our film. The story of Tomb Raider sees Lara Croft as fiercely independent daughter of Richard Croft, an eccentric adventurer who vanished years earlier. Lara, hoping to solve the mystery of her father's disappearance, embarks on an adventure to his last known location, the mythical island of Yamatai off the coast of Japan and the tomb of Himiko. So the film concludes with Lara's realization that the shady Trinity organization is much more global than she originally thought, and after seeing firsthand just how well-funded and brutal Trinity can be, Lara decides to arm up with her famous twin pistols as she decides to face off against Trinity many more times down the road, no longer as just Lara Croft, but as Lara Croft Tomb Raider. But the ending also makes us ask just who the heck is Anna Miller and what is she really up to? So before we can answer these, first a quick breakdown leading to the ending explained. In the opening scene of the film, Richard Croft narrates his findings on the tomb of Himiko located on Yamatai. We learn Himiko was a powerful queen who was believed to have been dragged to the island by her generals because of her seemingly magical ability to bring death to anyone she touched. So Himiko was entombed to keep her power from ever resurfacing again. Cut to present day, Lara lives a carefree life until she ends up in police custody where she has her bail posted by her father's business partner at Croft Holdings, Anna Miller. Anna is also there to warn Lara that if she does not sign off on her inheritance, her father's estate will be sold off, which would also mean no more Anna Miller working for the Crofts. Lara reluctantly accepts, but before she actually signs the paper, she gets a puzzle with a key to her father's secret office. Once there, she finds a recording of her father detailing his research on Queen Himiko and the island of Yamatai. Her father warns Lara that she must burn all his research since only he had knowledge of the exact location of the tomb in his journal. Richard also warns Lara that a dangerous organization known as Trinity is after the tomb and seeks to bring about global genocide. But instead of burning her father's work, Lara decides to investigate further, and in order to fund this venture, Lara sells off her only possession, a necklace with a rare green stone given to her by her father, meant to serve as a reminder that Lara's mother is always with her in spirit. And she just sold it off like it meant nothing. Anyway, now with cash in hand, she bribes captain of the Endurance ship Lu Ren, played by Daniel Wu, to take her to the island even though no ship has ever gotten close enough to safely land. After surviving the brutal storm and making her way to the island in one piece, Lara is knocked out by a Trinity soldier and awakes the next day where she is greeted by Matthias Vogel, leader of the shadowy organization known as Trinity, who came to the island 7 years ago behind her father Richard Croft in an attempt to beat him to the tomb of Himiko. All we know about Matthias is that he's been on the island for 7 years, his only contact with the outside world is a satellite phone, and that he cannot leave the island until he says his work is complete. As far as what we know about Trinity, it's important to remember that the company name Patna that appears with the Trinity logo on all the equipment on the island is just the name of the front company that really is Trinity. And since Tomb Raider is once again a film based on a video game franchise, it's important to know the difference between Trinity's video game counterpart. Simply, the Trinity on film is an amalgamation of Trinity and the Solari Brotherhood from the games. Also, the Patna logo that Trinity uses for their front company is much more similar to the Solari Brotherhood logo than Trinity's logo. Matthias Vogel's character is also much different from his character in game, but movie Trinity, just like their video game counterpart, is still a mysterious military organization that seeks out ancient relics, or in this case Himiko's power over death, in order to gain control over mankind and the world. So without spoiling future Tomb Raider sequels, I won't go into much further detail about the video game Trinity, since it's still completely unclear who Warner Bros. Will use in the future. But back to the film. Matthias Vogel also informs Laura that he supposedly killed her father because he got in the way of his reaching the tomb, and that the research Laura was supposed to burn is now instead in Vogel's possession, and now he can finish his work on the island. And already believing the contents in the tomb are as good as his, Vogel uses a satellite phone to call in transport, and shortly after receives a message confirming that the transport is en route. After Laura escapes her captors with the help of Lu Ren and survives near-death experience after near-death experience, she drowns a Trinity soldier in 2 inches of water, finds her long-lost father on the island alive and in desperate need of a haircut, informs her father that Vogel has his findings, and realizes that she has to be the one to stop him. So she arms up with a bow and quiver, stealthily enters Vogel's camp, but Richard just walks right up to Vogel, which forces Laura to open the tomb of Himiko with relative ease so she doesn't lose her father again. Now, inside the tomb, Laura, Richard, Vogel, and Trinity soldiers encounter trap after trap until they solve a color puzzle with falling floor tiles. One of the legends of Himiko states that she was said to command the power of life over death, and since the correct color to this puzzle was green, the color of life, this was a clue that perhaps Himiko was not as evil as her legend made everyone believe. Finally, the group finds the tomb of Himiko, and upon reading some of the writings on the wall, Laura realizes that Himiko was not dragged to this island and entombed against her will. She voluntarily went there, sacrificing herself. Then as Trinity soldiers open the sarcophagus to reveal the preserved body of Himiko, she quickly disintegrates to dust once exposed to the air. As 2 soldiers attempt to remove Himiko, another trap is activated, sending her remains flying in the soldiers' directions, turning them into mindless savages. It turns out that Himiko's ability to kill those she touched was actually a rare virus that Himiko was immune to, something that her followers believed was a mythical power. Seeing this firsthand, Vogel realizes he can't take Himiko's body without suffering the same fate, so he decides to pry off her thumb and stores it in the plastic baggie to complete his mission and head for that transportation he called for. In the chaos, Laura's father ends up infected and with no cure decides to blow himself up and the tomb so Himiko's virus and Trinity's plan will never see the light of day. Of course, after Laura defeats Vogel by shoving Himiko's thumb down his throat, infecting Vogel in the process, because I guess if Himiko touches you through a small layer of plastic, she can still kill you. So, Vogel and the Trinity soldiers are defeated, Laura and Lu Ren hijack the transport meant for Vogel and the contents of the tomb, and the world is safe as Laura heads back to London to finally sign off on her inheritance with Anna by her side. After signing off but giving full power of attorney to Anna Miller, Laura investigates further into Trinity and learns that Patna was a front company for Trinity and it's owned by Croft Holdings, and Anna Miller, having worked for Richard Croft for so long, is actually a Trinity secret agent and was the one behind Vogel's satellite phone and the transportation. But Vogel's death does not mean the end of Trinity, as Laura learns Trinity's reach is vastly global. So time to buy back Mum's necklace and don the iconic pistols in true Laura Croft style, and get ready to see more Alicia Vikander starred Tomb Raider films in the near future. And that's the ending explained of Tomb Raider. Now there's not much news in the way of a sequel since the film hasn't been officially released by the time this video is up, but definitely keep an eye out for Anna Miller returning. We know Laura's necklace is a rare, valuable stone that may have some magical properties, so keep an eye out for that since we learned so little about Laura's mother in this film. We know from Alicia Vikander doing multiple interviews that she's fully up for a sequel, and we know the Tomb Raider producer still has his eyes set on a sort of Marvel-style Square Enix video game movie universe, with the next Square Enix film coming out being a Just Cause movie starring Jason Momoa, and possibly other Square Enix game properties eventually going to film like Thief, Deus Ex, Final Fantasy, and even the possible return of another Hitman film. But if any huge news does leak on a Tomb Raider sequel, I'll be sure to let you all know here first. And that's the Ending Explained, breakdown, and sequel news for the new Tomb Raider. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe below, and tell me your thoughts on the film. Also be sure to comment if you're still Team Angie or Team Alicia for the best Lara Croft, and what you think should happen for a sequel. And don't forget, as always, this 5 Things Explains Everything with the Bing and Bang Show. I'm out.